Yep, so early in the morning on a beautiful winter day in Northfield. I'm probably the person in the room with the least expertise on the subjects that we're discussing today. And so I'm not going to engage in any discussions of the relative merits of one kind of carbon offsets versus another, because I'd be an unarmed man in that war. But I do want to take a moment to just sort of offer some perspectives on how I'm personally thinking about the issues that we're discussing today. So this teach-in provides all of us at St. Olaf, and really everybody everywhere, who's concerned about climate change, an opportunity, a welcome opportunity to stop what we're doing, listen to one another, and take stock of where we are and reflect on the future. So I'm going to make a bunch of assumptions that are, right now, that underlie everything else I'm going to say. And here they are. There's three of them. One, humans are causing climate change, which, two, threatens our environment and our way of life. And therefore, three, we have to change our behavior immediately. I'm going to make a fourth assumption, which is most people in this room agree with those first three. So let's not talk about that anymore. That's the easy part. The hard part is, so what are we going to do next? What is St. Olaf willing and able to do now and in the future by way of changing our behavior in order to prevent the negative effects of climate change? And I'm using this phrase, willing and able, advisedly and intentionally, because I'm also assuming, and this is the part where I'm like the guy in the suit, I'm also assuming that despite our understanding of the problem and our commitments to being part of the solution to it, there are going to be limits to what the college is going to be able and willing to do right now and in the future to be part of the set of solutions to the climate change problem. And I'll just give you a really quick example of that. Our wind turbine, I like to call him Big Oli. I understand that there are other names out there, and I think there's room in the world for all the names that we want to call it. But I like to call him Big Oli. Is generating 30% of the electricity that we need to run the college. If we had two more wind turbines of the same size, operating in equally windy spots, with the same degree of efficiency, we would be generating 100% of our electricity, which would probably make us pretty much carbon neutral as an institution. So why don't we do that tomorrow? And the answer is that we would need somewhere between $2 and $3 million to do that. Never mind the 2-year lag to get them, if we could find somebody who's willing to sell us only to blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, we don't really have $2 to $3 million spare dollars right now to throw at 2 more wind turbines, even though that would give us carbon neutrality instantly. Or rather, we actually do have $2 to $3 million that we could spend there, but we're choosing not to as a college. And you might say, geez, you got a $100 million budget. $2 to $3 million at some level is, you know, in the decimal dust. Why don't you just do it? And that is not an uncompelling argument to me. But the question then becomes, what was that $2 to $3 million going to pay for? And when you start thinking about that, then you get into the world of trade-offs. And you know, people say life is all about trade-offs. I think life actually is all about trade-offs at some level. So I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about trade-offs and how you think, and how we can think about them. Offer some perspectives. First, though, I want to tell you about one of the most interesting things that ever happened to me in my life, and that was in December. As you know, St. Olaf partners with a bunch of other Lutheran colleges to participate in the Nobel Peace Prize conference. And these conferences are held every year on the campus of one of the participating colleges. And the theme of the conference, which is really aimed at students, despite the fact that when you have the open mic period, it's always people with jobs who stand up first and start talking. So the next time we have the conference here, I think we need to have a rule. Anyone with a job can't speak until all the students have spoken. Anyway, these conferences are about, the theme of them is the work of the person who won the Nobel laureate, the Nobel Prize the year before. So the idea is after you've finished your laureate year, you would then come to the college that's sponsoring the conference, and the conference would be on your side. Well, we're the hosts, not this year, but next year. So you can imagine that I was watching with interest to see who would win. Because frankly, it's going to be my responsibility to persuade that person to come to Northfield, Minnesota, the year after they've just finished being one of the most important people in the world. It's a challenge. And it could have been a microfinance person from Burma, which would have been awesome, because microfinance is a good thing and Burma is a special place. But it wasn't. It was Al Gore and the IPCC. And when I learned that they had won, I said to myself, yes. Because I think we have a decent shot of getting both of them, the chair of the IPCC and Al Gore to come. And because I thought of all of the subjects in the world that will resonate on our campus, the consequences of climate change and public policy behavior to address it is probably the most important thing. So how great for us. To effect this introduction, you get to go, if you're the president of the college, you get to go to Oslo and be at the Nobel Peace Prize forum, or Peace Prize ceremony. And then you get to go to the fanciest banquet you've ever been at, with like 8 forks on one side of your plate, and to sort of present this invitation. So, so I did go to Oslo in December, and I did invite them to come. And they gave the very answer you would expect, which is, well, I'd love to come if I can. They were in the middle of probably the 48 of the most strenuous hours of their lives, maybe not for Al Gore, but certainly for the chair of the IPCC. I mean, it was like, they couldn't go anywhere without being surrounded by 400 people and cameras and microphones and stuff. So you couldn't expect a response. But I do, hope and expect that we're going to be able to have them come to campus in the spring of '09. That it's going to be one of the most awesome things that ever happened at St. Olaf. But the thing that was so important to me about this experience was to really see firsthand the international power of the ideas and the knowledge that we have gained about climate change. This is certainly the #1 issue in the minds of people all over the world. And sort of my personal commitment to having St. Olaf be part of the solution to this problem was really solidified by the sort of grandeur of the ceremony, the gravity of the issues at hand, and the consequence of the people involved in it. It's a great thing. So when you think about St. Olaf and the trade-offs and what we can do, here's sort of my quick take on it. The fundamental problem facing St. Olaf since the day its doors opened in 1874 has been an imbalance between our aspirations for the program we want to have and our ability to fund them. The translated version of that sentence is not enough money. The story of St. Olaf, since its founding in 1874, has been our unbelievable ability to provide the program that we do, considering the resources that we have. That's the awesome story about St. Olaf. We are, as an institution, a great example of sustainability. We shouldn't even be here, but we are, given the quality of the institution and what we have to support it, and that's a good thing. We're like the Prius of colleges. But you start thinking about, what are the big priorities at the college right now, other than participating in solutions to the global climate change problem. Here's what I see them as. And the #1 problem is our inability to do more with student financial aid. College in America is very